Hello, my friends. I'm Rick. This is Taylor. Hey, I got notes. Now, I'll grant you. I want to say a couple minor caveats. I think here, and yeah, right. Look, my hat's off to Mr. Reed, dude. You hit the ball. You hit the home run because I understand firsthand how hard it is to get to that point. You want something, you work at it hard, and then you improve your skill set, and then suddenly you get some recognition, and then boom, you got yourself a name. You're published, and this first book, that's a winner. That second book and the third book can be a boost or a problem, boost or bane, depending on how that's so many writers have tapped out because the sales on those second two books weren't so good. Something about honor lacks passion from the writer. There's a I seriously, I mean, now I heard commentary on other people's video not too long ago about their first opinions of it, and they didn't think well of it. And that does color you, whether you say you don't. Once you hear something, you think when you go and you review it, you read it yourself, you still got that thing going in your head, so you're a little more aware when you're reading. And so, I mean, I'll read a lot of CGL material, and I've read a lot of older Fan Pro stuff, and I've still got tons to go. And it amazes me how many typos I see. There'll be one or two typos sometimes in every book, and they just leap out the typos leap out at me pretty hard for some reason because I'm kind of obsessed with them, even though because I know how easy it is to have them kind of develop. So that said, the other thing is. The book feels like it was rushed, that there was more to come at the end. So it's like it's missing 10, I don't know, 8, 10 more chapters of material that could have been there. And I know it's not that. It is on the low side for a novel. Unless this has become the standard concept today for novels, because if it is, then my would-be behemoth montage of half a dozen novels would be twice the size if I wanted to produce them or put them out that way. So anyhow, I'm just saying, it just seems like there's something missing, and there's a lot of stuff that, I mean, I get it. I understand how much effort and time that Mr. Reed put into it, and it's obviously good read. It also does, let me get into this a little bit here. So, elements of treason, honor. It's an okay novel, but it isn't one of Mr. Reed's best. Honestly, the lack of passion for this project seems to show. Secondary and support characters lack depth. So there's some interesting secondary characters. Initially, they're interesting because they're secondary characters and why and what their potential role are, or how they might fit into something. But then they don't ever really go beyond that. Through the rest of the novel, there's hints and suggestions that there's things going on off scene, but it's so benign and so bland, it has no impact whatsoever on their character development, or their lack of character. I mean, you can have characters that have no character at all, but that's what sets them out, that they're written well on purpose, right? You know, too often while reading Mr. Cobb's, I kept seeing hints, patterns, and a played down similarity to Alec Ward's journey. So, Hour of the Wolf, I read Hour of the Wolf, and I've read it twice now. And there are some subtle variations of the same hero's journey, if you will, being played out here with this Peter Cobb fellow. Except Peter Cobb is, he's droll and boring. And, I don't like using that term Mary Sue because I think it's cliche. I think it's been overused too much. I also don't think that too many things that are conveniently labeled under something when it's actually a broader, wider consideration. And realities anyway. This character, even when they show flaws, the flaws are flawless. They're not even really going to be a problem. The only thing that, and we'll get into that too, because I think my notes get into that stuff. Let me get divergent. So the book's antagonists also lack depth of character or any passion. The toucans of the Hell's Horses are merely memes, examples of characters with little or no flavor. There's little to draw a reader into the point of the side of the main character. So we're trying, the story's trying to get us to be sympathetic to the main character's views on things, or to at least connect with. In the process of writing this, the minor, but I guess minor villains within the clan, the toucans they're totally detrimental, and they're not played up well. They're not displayed. They could have been displayed a little better, a little more passion, a little more, I don't know, punch, so it hits harder. I mean, they obviously are now smoke jaguar crazy kind of driven, but they aren't no emotionally power driven crazy like the Jade Falcon characters tend to be written about in other novels. So the Hell's Horses are boring. They're boring. They're bland. And their bumpkins, their cans are so narrow, so minor, so, there's a couple tweaked windows, and they're like, well, the one client's like thinking, well, I need to read this stuff because, but that's not like an opine moment or an oh shit moment. It just is like you're like, nothing comes out of it. Nothing comes out of it. So it's an unfired cat, my friend. That's something to try to avoid, I'm told, as a writer. It's a meme also. So don't leave an unfired gun laying around. If you're writing a novel and you stumble into a room and there's a smoking gun sitting on the table, and then you never hear the thing mentioned again through the rest of the novel, that will be one of those things that will draw a lot of people back to what? So what was that? What happened to the gun? What gun? There was no gun. Nobody used a gun. In chapter 3, it's there sitting on the table. It's in that case, smoking, but it's don't leave them laying around. It's just like we don't leave a cat. Open the door and you step into the spooky hallway, and there's a cat sitting there staring at you like it's going to, like you're going to die or something, and then that's it. No more cat. Well, the idea being is you put that in there, you need to trigger at some point. So, the house is burning up and exploding, and you're running for your life, and you can't hardly see. The next thing you know, you see the cat sprinting ahead of you, and you follow the cat, and the cat leads you to and out the door you go. Introduced and fired. Bingo. What do I know? I honestly don't know any of this crap I didn't want to even do this stuff. Aside from the occasional fodder, and that's used to drag Peter Cobb into some one more trial of grievance or whatever, for me there's this traditional and typical my mech's bigger than your mech mindset within the clans anyway. And so the ritual battles are only further proof that the clan system is horribly flawed, because we talk about it, they constantly harp about not being wasteful, but what's more wasteful than, constantly blowing crap up and almost killing each other, and in some cases doing that? How is that getting your point across? You want to duke it out, get in the field, and here's a couple of gloves and beat yourself senseless. At least with clan medtech, that's cheaper to fix you than it is to fix the equipment. And maybe it'll, straighten out whatever's really going wrong in your head. I don't know. But the other thing is, and this comes across in the novel, is, geez, the average clan person must fight some kind of damn combat ritual at least once a week. Probably sometimes over the most stupidest, pettiest crap, because that's how this comes out sometimes. Well, we don't like what this guy's saying. Well, we'll just, I know a guy who will challenging him, and then that guy fails, and we'll get somebody else, and that guy fails. And, well, how many, well, you know what? Through attrition and dumb luck, you get enough people to keep filing and, keep going after that one person, sooner or later, they're going to get somebody. Somebody's going to be either that good or that lucky or a combo, or the guy that everybody keeps going after is going to stumble or have a bad day or have a mechanical failure that shouldn't have happened. But at the end of the day, what's that? That's a system that's guaranteed that we're going to get it our way. It's just a matter of how many times we got to try to kill you to get it. Instead of having a system that says agrees that, okay, well, he won his point, no more challenges on that point. Not, oh, no more challenges for me, but plenty of challenges for thee. No, see, that's a critical problem with the clans, and it doesn't read out well in my personal opinion. So this trial of grievance, the trial of refusal, both serve valid methods for a warrior society to settle internal differences until we read to the point to where clan politics make a mockery of this and honored ritual. Instead, we get what I just said. And we are left with the idea that if you or your ideas are not popular, opponents merely need to ensure that a trial one after another until attrition puts a stupid or stamp paid mark on your codex. I ask you, where is the honor in any of that? Honestly, where's the honor in any of that? Personally, I would like to see more of the internal workings of the clan than we experienced in the novel. As the novel goes, most of the novels, you have to give us a bit. We know the faction, but it's not a well-covered faction. We would like to see a bit more of that being covered, but more of the fluff to be involved in the inner workings and color of the clan itself, how it differs from the social, from a economic, from an industrial difference from its fellow clans and its fellow factions. We are pretty damn well established how the clan wolf works and what life looks like within clan Jade Falcon as two grand examples. So you're missing opportunities to do this and to give life to the possibility of, if you did it, if a book's really, really, really well written and really, really well received, a lot of times a source book is not far behind that will grow out of that particular, hoping to cash in on the market while it's warm enough to do that. So and FASA and Catalyst have both done it. They've both done it. I've seen it. So right. Yeah. So we get into this. Some of the good points right here. There are good stuff about the book. I'm not knocking. I mean, it's a solid story, and it is entertaining if you're not looking at it with a broader, wider view of the inner sphere world and in general, and of course a bucket load of opinion. So it does go into do a good job of showing the critical incompetence, hesitation, and bullheadedness that's sitting at the top of the clan's hierarchy. So our Khan and our Sakan are both basically detriments to the clan doing anything well, and their own worst enemy because they can't see any of that, and they can't see it in each other. So ideally, somebody would put one of them down by one of these damn ritual battles, but it hasn't happened just yet. And it should have happened in this book. I'm just saying it should have happened instead of the way the book just kind of peters off. It just kind of winds down, and then just sputters to a stop. It's just like, oh man, it just doesn't work. They should have hell halfway through the novel. They should have had one of those two, the Sakan or the Khan, should have had a challenge. Peter should have challenged one of them, put him in the ground. That's how the character, you're going to do a true Mary Sue. Let's really wrap it up. Let's ramp it up. If we're going to do that, let's do that. so that the clan itself isn't likely to bow down to Alec without a fight. There's the other thing that comes along. It's hard to decide at this point what a faction of the Inner Sphere, clan or Inner Sphere aside, are going to do when it comes to the point when the wolves show up under the quote Star League banner and invite them to take a knee. So when they show up and the Hell's Horses aren't prepared to even piddle with it, they're gonna nail down. They're gonna kneel down or face destruction. You know, we can guess and we can say, oh, I think this or I think that, but or something else going to happen, something bigger going to develop, or we won't know until something happens. But you sure won't get anything like any kind of hint of anything of that sort in here. It's almost a parody. The very brief meeting of the two cons with Alec Ward is basically a parody of what's already been written in one other novel, maybe two other novels. The one for sure I know, I'm drawing a blank on which one I read, where Alec, it might have been the very end of Hour of the Wolf too. Might have to go back and reread that damn book again for the third time. So anyway, right, we get a very brief look at the clan itself. That's kind of where one of my, like I said, what I'm disappointed about is we didn't see a bigger look, into the inner spirit and flavor of the horses. We get some vernacular change. There's some wording changes, some clever uses, like all the clans do of English titles and things like this. So you get the horse motif, but we really don't see more than that. We don't see if there's any kind of distinctness about the Hell's Horses, other than just, I don't know, the lack of opportunity. It just boggles my mind. It's just, I guess it just wasn't on the thoughts of Mr. Creed or the editors or anything like that to have suggested, adding just a little bit more. But, okay, y'all got our money. Despite failing repeatedly, the horses are trying to find their path. So the book is pointing out that the Hell's Horses are on an important cusp. Something serious needs to happen. And since I'm honestly, my understanding of how this particular elements of Treason series is going is that there's not really meant to be a set of books specifically for this. So there wouldn't be a book 2 and a book 3 in this particular Hell's Horses saga. Which, knowing this, and knowing that you could easily put another 100 pages worth of material in the back of this book, so you would have no real problem to not have settled some of that. So when that pathetical reception on Terra that's predicted by Peter Cobb played out, something should have critically happened at that point to challenge those two leaders. One or the other should have challenged the other one and potentially either wiped each other out in the process or killed one of their rivals. And either way, or Peter Cobb should have challenged one of them and become part of the leadership to show at least some significant change and growth for the clan, instead of it just kind of tapering off and becoming anticlimactic. I mean, so what? We want to, what we do, we instead of cleaning house and fixing the Hell's Horses' internal problems so they can become a stronger force to be reckoned with, we immediately follow suit into this this idea that we're just going to roll over what's left of the Falcon territory, and then to get their butts handed to them, going after the so-called capital world for the Falcons. And we should never even have got to that point. Should never have got to that point, in my opinion. But that's just how my view of that would have been. So, some final thoughts on this. The largest thing that just keeps hitting its jump jets is just how the novel feels like an opening gambit for a series or trilogy on the Hell's Horses. Only that the part of the novel that would establish that this is the first of several, or the first of two, is never written. It's clear that there's no really open-minded idea that this story was going to continue. So we have too many unfired cats in there. Too many things that do not get resolved well or at all. And it's left to the imagination of the fan base to do whatever it is they want to do to continue this. That's fine. That's how you're going for it. I don't know. To me, it seems really. We just putting in the time on this one there, Craig. You just put your time in on it, right? I mean, it's a project. So I know it's a hell of a project. I know. I understand. No, I do. Pity, pity, pity. All right, guys. Well, till next time. Because you want the cat girls to exist.